Okay, here we
All right,
are.
we're back.
We're back. Episode 9. We did Iron Widow by Xiran Jay Zhao. And white boy alert here.
Yeah, we're gonna be bad at pronouncing names,
So
and we'll
bad.
definitely forget names too.
And I will say,
I've got a plan for how to delineate between the two male protagonists.
yeah. I wrote down the pronunciations as given by the author on Instagram. The author is, I believe, non-binary, so they then
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Which you kind of get the feeling of the main character too.
Definitely.
But their pronunciations from all their characters, all their place names are on Instagram and available. We're still probably going to butcher them because we're not used to speaking Chinese words.
Yeah, exactly. Not at least for me in 15 years. And I was bad at it then too.
Right. I mean, I studied a lot of Chinese classics, but they were in English.
Yeah.
So Iron Widow, I guess in this one, so the author, they grew up in China in part. Around 5th grade, they moved to British Columbia. Looks like bachelor's of biochemistry, from Simon Fraser University.
Okay.
This was their breakthrough book.
Oh, I can see it. I can see how this would be a breakthrough.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has strong Evangelion, Avatar, the Last
Pacific
Rim vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're reading an anime. That's essentially what you're doing.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. We did not read the sequel, but both of us are on. That's our next book on deck.
Basically,
because I was like, wait, that's how it ended.
Yeah.
So, there will be spoilers ahead, as usual. You don't come to Resistance Reads without a full summary because we need to talk about the themes and the plot.
The themes are really sharply delineated, and the last the revelation at the end of the book.
Yeah.
That really tells you, it crystallizes everything.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. As a very prolific reader of science fiction, I kind of guessed the end really early.
That's funny because I was more than halfway through before I got it.
But it's let's just say I always assume that humans are dicks. That's essentially my assumption for every sci-fi.
Fundamentally,
novel.
the thesis of the book anyway.
Yeah, that humans are dicks. Well, and the patriarchy is dicks.
Specifically,
right? Yeah, I mean literal dicks and figurative dicks. Dicks everywhere. In not a good way.
Yeah, but as far as the main characters go, I mean, there's some dicks everywhere, and it's definitely in a good way. I feel like I'm gonna be referring to the main character, who is the female protagonist of the book and the point of view character, and then she's got rich boyfriends and strong boyfriends.
Rich boyfriend, strong boyfriend. That's the way.
And strong boyfriend's very strong, and rich boyfriend is very rich.
Yeah.
But they're both nice boys who are bisexual.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that.
I did. I enjoyed that too. I mean, there was kind of hints at through all the book, but it's in the final couple chapters, it's they finally kiss, and it's
oh, they all do it together.
They all do it together.
It seemed like it would be great. Yeah,
right. The triangle is the strongest shape.
It's the strongest shape.
That's right. So
they're not just bisexual, but they're also polyamorous, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it was interesting because there's a lot of really interesting challenges to systems of authority on multiple levels by this author, which we at Resistance Reads really appreciate.
We love that.
We love that shit.
Absolutely.
So we got to get into the world building a little bit before we get into the plot, because the author kind of just avalanches you, and as we were talking about this briefly, since my big claim to fame-ish. Me and
you're prolific science fiction writer.
Yeah. But world building, studying and thinking about.
Oh, and you and my wife wrote a book about world building.
We wrote a book, The Anthropology of World Building.
Literally wrote the book on it.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So, Build Better Worlds, Introduction to Anthropology for Game Designers, Fiction Writers, and Filmmakers. If you didn't know I had that book, check it out. A little promo me, but here we are.
Yeah. But no, I think I was saying before we got on mic that I feel like there's two types of ways to do this, and one is a slow burn, 6-chapter world building, initial world building phase, and then there's the dumping it on you in
real
2 chapters real fast.
Yeah,
hits you hard, and if you weather it, then it's you know, it's pretty smooth sailing after that, but it can be. I found it a little off-putting, and I was being very critical of the book at first, and after that portion of it, basically once the main character like goes to the army, it starts to really like
it kicks into gear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
she assassinates the guy she wants to kill really early on in the book.
Yeah,
You know, you
I'm
think that's gonna be
surprised.
the struggle, and then she just does
she
it.
just freaking does
She
it.
she
Yeah.
does it like Professor X versus the Shadow King, man, in the mind realm, just like
Boom. Yeah.
bam,
Yeah.
kills him dead.
Yeah.
Stabs him 6 times with a Psylocke knife, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so real quick on the world building, we'll get into the rest of the plot in a second. That's all right. You're just excited for the assassination. So anyway, so this is a world where you are. It's basically an analog of ancient China. And it's, you know, the main character is supposed to be kind of a futuristic analog. This is taking place at least 2,000 years in the future. We are not sure how long.
Right.
And the end of the book makes you think that it's even longer. You could be in the timelines of, you know, multiple thousands, tens of thousands of years. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we'll get to that at the end.
I was definitely just imagining like 1,000 years in our future, or 2,000 or something.
Yeah, there's a direct reference at one point to 2000. That it's been 2,000.
That's right.
Years since they're called twins,
right.
I think.
Right. Since they came, yes.
Since they came. So there's a reference that it's been about 2,000 years, and the last great emperor has died. We'll say with quotes because it's a little more complicated.
He's cool too.
Yeah. About 216 or something like that.
Yeah, it was very specific. It was like 221 years ago.
Or 21 years ago, yeah. But, you know, 2 centuries give or take, right?
Exactly.
So this is the world, and if you're thinking of like giant mechs, that's what we got here. They have a 2-pilot system, so no single pilot is supposed to be able to pilot one of these big things alone.
Yeah, just like Pacific Rim.
Just like Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
There is so you have 2 pilots, one is male and one is female for yin yang energy, and then, you know, the ideal match is a balanced match where the male and female are in sync.
They have very specific power rankings for chi,
Yeah.
which is like, you know, what powers Iron Fist and stuff like that.
Yeah. Chi is the classic
energy, like
mystical energy,
Yeah.
in ancient China.
Yeah.
You see Qi used in the Analects of Confucius. You see Qi much more used in the Taoist literature. Taoism is one of those where a lot of people think of the Tao Te Ching, but there's actually thousands of Taoist manuscripts. There's no centralized Taoist text. It's a lot more complicated when you're actually reading like ancient Chinese philosophy, which that was like my hobby for a few years. Because I have a verse of the Tao Te Ching on my left arm here.
Yeah.
Because I was so obsessed with it for a little while.
That's fun.
I'm just Anyway, so this conception of Qi, you probably if you're like in popular culture, like Kung Fu Panda also features Qi.
Kung Fu Panda.
Avatar: The Last Airbender also mentions Qi.
Yeah.
It's just this kind. I mean, really, that's what the Force is in Star Wars.
Absolutely,
it's essentially. So it's like this all-pervading life force, right? Some people have a greater ability to challenge Qi. There's also the traditional 5-element Chinese system.
Right.
Yeah, which I believe is fire, water, wood, metal, and then what's the 5th one?
Is it? It's not air, is it?
It's not air, I don't think. Is it plant or life? Or I can't remember what the 5th one is at the top of my head right now. But they only really in the book ever talk about wood, metal, and fire. Like that's
and water.
And there's water.
And water at one
the
point,
5th one is not really. Does anyone have the 5th element?
I don't think they do. No, the Emperor does. But
the Emperor has all 5.
So I think it's mentioned at the very end in like an extremely exciting set piece.
So they have the classic 5-element system of the with the pilots, and then they're different, and then there's different sizes of these mechs. So depending on how much Qi you have, that depends on the size of mech you can pilot, and they have like a Duke class, and then they have
this
like a
great rating, like class rating,
right?
system.
A prince class, and like a king class, and an emperor, and the emperor class, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of world we're delving into. It has a lot of the characteristics of ancient China, with like the foot binding of women, which was this
A main thing.
terrible practice where women of high status had their feet bound at a very young age because small feet was considered extremely beautiful. It was a beauty standard. It is a I mean, she gives a very accurate description of how terrible the practice is because the main character has it.
Yeah.
And the main character is wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of world we're in. This is, and you're talking about kind of city-states essentially at this point.
Absolutely. It seems like we're just in one for the most part.
For the most part, you're on the frontier,
mm-hmm.
right? You're in the frontier where the twins are attacking, and we think that they are alien invaders.
Well, then you also spend a lot of time in the capital city.
Yes.
The walled capital city.
The walled capital city.
Yeah, where they do training and stuff like that.
Which kind of feels like a modern Beijing analog a little bit.
Yeah,
a little
absolutely.
bit. Yeah. I also, this book was banned in China.
No shit. What? I'm so surprised.
Yeah, I'm so surprised, right? So good for the author.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted to be cool about it too, that would have been great. But if they're trying to ban it, then you're being critical of them, and it's making them pissed off, and that's always a good call.
Yeah. So the main character, Yu Qian, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure. Sorry again if I don't.
The thing about a foreign language that's as foreign as that is you can listen to someone pronounce it
1,000 times.
1,000 times. And if you're not fluent in it, you will forget how to say it.
It is like, when people kind of mock some Asian language speakers for not being able to pronounce L or R, it's like the muscles in your mouth literally didn't develop around those.
Yeah,
those
absolutely,
consonants.
man.
So
but
it's
they can
very
say
difficult.
a bunch of 100 other tones that you can't say.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Fuck it,
So and that was also Zhu Tian is also the actual original emperor from the 7th century who largely ruled ancient China for about 45 years, officially an emperor for 15, I believe, but really emperor in all but name for most of that reign.
Damn.
And this was a person who also helped to weed out some of the corruption. They kind of removed this idea of, it was this was a very progressive emperor.
Okay.
Brought China back from really improved the Chinese social system, challenged class ideology. A very long-standing thing of Chinese culture and history is that they used to have these kind of officer exams. So if you wanted to do well and you wanted to move up in society, you had to take these exams.
Yeah.
And that's been a feature of their culture for centuries.
Okay.
I think really for thousands of years.
All right.
So I'm not exactly sure when it started. I think after the Warring States period, which is about the time the first version of the Bible, the Torah, not the Bible, was written. So we're talking about time of the rise of Buddhism.
Oh damn, yeah.
So you're talking about 5th, 6th century BCE.
Wow.
So not CE. So it's about 2,500 years ago.
Okay.
I believe it's after the Warring States period and the rise of Confucianism in ancient China as a kind of unifying force that you get these kind of government exams, right? So this emperor said you don't have to be a noble to take these exams.
Okay.
And that was a huge, that actually significantly improved their empire because
I was going to say you get a lot more applicants, you get a lot better people.
Right, exactly, right? You don't just have all people getting nepotism essentially. So so there's a lot of really interesting government reforms. Ultimately though, that emperor, she was deposed.
She was a she.
It was a coup. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, the only officially recognized empress in Chinese history who truly ruled.
I feel like I learned about her when I was there, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
So that's the analog we're dealing with here in this particular world.
All right.
Story begins, and again, I'm going to keep flipping back. Zhu Tian is very angry.
She sure
very
is.
angry in the opening of the book, and angry really throughout the whole thing, and for good reason.
She's pissed off the whole goddamn time.
Whole book,
yeah.
and things keep
not
unjustified.
Yeah.
This is
mad,
righteous
though.
rage.
Yeah.
So you start out immediately finding out that her sister is killed in this pilot program
Mm-hmm.
by this one particular pilot.
Yeah, he's Chang. He's like the hot one.
Yeah,
he's like
he's like the star of the show.
Yeah,
and these pilots are
he's
celebrities.
the Justin Timberlake of this situation.
Right.
But
So,
in the 90s.
But they also know that she didn't die in combat. It's not like she died in combat because their family was refused war pay.
Mm-hmm.
So their families were refused war pay. So for some reason, she's killed by this person, and so so the main character chooses to enlist in this system.
Yep.
The beginning is she's getting her unibrow plucked to make
That was
herself
so funny, man.
more attractive, so the recruiters will come and take her.
Yeah.
So she's
because they're concubines.
Yes, they're
co-pilots.
They're basically disposable.
Yeah.
Most of them die in a single battle, so they don't last long. So you need this constant kind of
it's like a recruitment program.
It's like a recruitment program for girls that is constantly sacrificing the women. The women are these sacrifices.
It's a wild situation.
It's a messed up situation.
Because they have like to test your spirit levels,
right?
And
your spirit pressure.
Your spirit pressure, exactly. And that, I think that's an interesting choice of words, metaphorically speaking. But and so her sister had a really good score, and so she got picked. And you think about it, like the main character's got like the best score anybody's ever seen, as it's later revealed. And you're like, what about her sister? What if that's why she got 8 outside of the combat situation?
Right, maybe she was too much of a threat.
Yeah.
But that's never talked about. Maybe it will be in the second book.
I thought about it, though.
Yeah, we definitely didn't read the second book, so if like we're jumping to conclusions here, just know that we haven't read it
I was thinking about it, and then I was like, actually, I just want to be fresh on this book specifically.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't want to drop any spoilers if people hadn't read the second one.
And you also start to get things mixed up when you start.
That's also true. Yes, that's a good point.
But in this moment when she's having her unibrow plucked, it's being plucked by future rich boyfriend.
Yes.
And future rich boyfriend.
He's still rich boyfriend.
He's rich boyfriend.
They make out before she leaves.
That's true. They do. At least once. Right. And he doesn't understand what she's about to do. And she does finally tell him at the end of the first conversation what she's doing, and he's like, we can run away, this can be great, this is and he has taught her to read and write and helped her with science and mathematics so that she makes sure that she's educated, because she's a frontier girl,
right?
So she doesn't necessarily have all the access that people do in the city. And she's actually descended from, and I wonder if this is going to come up in the second book, she's descended from the people of the Emperor directly, which comes up at the very end of the book.
Oh, right.
So she's descended from their group because she can speak the Emperor's language.
Yes, that's right.
So, so anyway, pretty quickly, this hovercraft shows up to pick her up, and right before it does, rich boyfriend comes around and is like, please, I'm offering you marriage, just come live with me, don't do this. And she said, she gets really pissed, and she's like, you don't understand anything about me.
I gotta do my revenge.
I gotta do my revenge. She goes off and does it anyway. And
it's great.
She is immediately brought into this concubine program, and they're given all kinds of instructions about how they must submit to the male's desires, and pretty gross kind of.
And what an honor it is too.
What an honor it is to be essentially, essentially
property, just to be property for sex. Yeah,
property for sex, and then also for basically draining them of their spirit pressure.
As it turns out, she doesn't really know this going in, but that's the deal.
That's the deal.
You're basically just like a battery.
The women are just a battery. That's a really good way to put it. That they're just a battery. But very quickly she she starts to seduce the guy, because she has like this special pin with a knife in it, and she's gonna seduce the Justin Timberlake pilot. And she's gonna, when he's asleep, because she knows he's like really big, like she immediately sees, she's like, crap, he's big, also I'm she's crippled because she can't really walk and move around because her feet have been bind her whole life.
It doesn't matter if you're a mecha pilot, but it matters every other time. Right, because the mecha pilot's all a mental game. So anyway, she's getting ready to like she's starting to seduce him, and then the alarm goes off and they go into battle, so she doesn't have a chance. But then the next thing you know, she gets plugged into the machine, and
She gets plugged in, and then she gets cast into like this spirit realm,
Right.
and it's like the realm where this machine functions. And she meets she basically is like first like she's kind of trapped. She fights her way free.
She's like going through his memories and stuff, and she sees him murdering all these girls,
and that he's kind of really is a monster.
Yeah.
She gets confirmation.
She's seduced by him in the moment when they're about to fuck.
She's like, wait,
she's like, oh man, maybe I was wrong about him. He's super hot and nice.
Yeah, like maybe he's actually,
not,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. That she sees his memory, and she, in fact, just straight up
gets like bulletproof like evidence that
he killed her sister and many other girls and was kind of just a monster. Yeah. So she confronts him in the spirit realm, and it turns out she has a hell of a lot more spirit power than he does.
Yeah, she kicks his ass.
And she kicks his ass and stabs him to death real quick. And then this is like the best part. Like she finally gets out of the pilot, and everyone's around because the machine stopped responding.
But they're doing a battle, and she like doesn't. She's like learning how to battle in the suit
in the moment.
But then she gets really good at it. She goes off and like wins the fight against the monsters.
Right.
And then she comes out of it. And
with his corpse in his hand.
Her hands, she throws it on the ground, puts her foot on it, and says, I am your nightmare.
Yeah, welcome to your nightmare. Yeah.
That's it. Yo. Oh.
But then, of course, they throw her in jail.
Yeah. For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. And, like, I think they're trying to decide what to do with her, and they call her an Iron Widow. At some point, they Iron Widow.
She like hears them saying it like in the background,
and she's like, "Well, if they have a term for it, clearly this is not the first time. They must be suppressing it." Yeah. And it's true, they absolutely were. And then they partner her with this guy who is a convicted murderer called the Iron Demon.
He's a family murderer. He murdered his whole family.
Li Shimin.
Yeah.
And Li Shimin.
He's strong boyfriend.
And
he is a hunk.
He's a hunk.
I was into him.
Yeah. So, anyway, you think that he's a horrible person. Like, he's literally muzzled. They go into battle. And he's literally muzzled. And he's tied down and restrained because everyone's like kind of afraid of him because he's like super punky, super beefy, super powerful. Yeah. And he has the highest recorded spirit pressure since the Emperor 200 and some years ago. Yeah,
221 years ago, and it's like 10,000.
It's like,
and they're always like, that's a joke amount. Like when people are like, oh, how much spirit pressure do you have? Like 10,000,
Yeah, the average is 50.
The average is
50.
Yeah.
For the average human being, it's
and
50.
she clocks in at like also 10,000 or something like that.
So after the first battle with him, she clocks in at 16.
That's right. No, she's got more than him.
More than him.
Yeah.
But so they get thrown into battle, and they kind of actually like fight. And they fight in a way that causes a stalemate between the two of them in the spirit realm. And then they ended up accidentally transforming
into like a blob.
Because but it was like a really unique and synergistic transformation, even though it was unfocused. It was like off the charts kind of transformation.
I imagine, did you ever watch The Secret World of Alex Mack?
I did.
It was okay, so
I forgot about that
all the young children out there was this show where this girl got mutant powers. Yeah, from like a science experiment, and her sister was like a science whiz, so she was always helping her. But she could do stuff like magic, like X-Men-y stuff. And at one point she could whenever she wanted to sneak out, she would blob out and sneak under doors and stuff.
Liquefy.
Like she would liquefy into metal like T-1000.
Yeah.
And that's what I imagined. I should have just said T-1000 actually. But I imagine that's what they look like when they're just blobbing around, taking fools out. But everybody's like, that's the freakiest thing I've ever seen. That's not a heroic evolution. That's a villain evolution. And they were right.
Yeah. So anyway, after this battle, they're like, okay, well, you two need to work together. And she realizes very quickly that, and she's actually super smart about it. She's like, I can't just let them tell me what to do. I have to hold leverage over them. Yeah. And if they really want me to fight, if they know I'm really powerful, they know this match is really powerful, then we need to get certain things.
Yeah, we gotta get our bag, man.
We gotta get our, because all the other pilots get to wear their armor around, they get praise. They're both in cells.
Yeah, they're in cells. And when they're not in cells, they're mixed into the normie population of pilots who have armor on and shit like that. But they're just in a cafeteria one time, and people are starting shit with strong boyfriend and main character, and Strong Boyfriend just goes off and starts drunk and mastering all these fools who are wearing their power armor but like breaking them. It's so sick.
4 people,
Yeah,
barehanded, unarmored.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
So he beats the living shit out of them.
Yeah, but then it's like that sort of stuff is causing them problems. So she's like, you're right. She figures it out. She's like, we got to get leverage.
Right.
And so eventually she's like, hey, rich boyfriends, you know.
Well, that happens.
Let me take a meeting with your daddy.
Right. Rich boyfriend.
Smart. She's smart is what I'm saying.
She's super strategic.
Yeah.
I think that's really. I think the whole a lot of the discourse in the book is like she has stronger will and a sharp mind, and that's how she does everything.
Yeah, and the only time she ever like takes an L is because she's too pissed off about something and she can't stop herself from doing things. Yeah. But that's like,
that's the problem with rage.
That's the problem with rage. It can be very powerful, but it can also be.
It can also be a mistake.
Yeah, it can trip you up too. Sure.
But so anyway, after the cafeteria fight, it turns out it was actually engineered by Rich Boyfriend.
That's right.
Because Rich Boyfriend wanted to get her alone and maybe even help her escape from the prison. Right. But that's not the plan.
Not anymore.
But so as soon as she actually goes back, because at this point now they have put her and the Iron Demon in basically a suite. It's like a real small room.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to start like, having sex and like bonding, and basically they're like husband and wife now.
Because like the more like intimate and like chill your bond is with your pilot, the better the match is gonna be, and so the stronger you're gonna be as a team. Yeah, exactly.
So they're like trying to get him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a really key and important point. He refuses to force himself on her.
Yeah.
And you find out in that conversation the reason he murdered his family is because they gang raped a young girl.
Yeah.
And so he kills his brothers who were doing that because he's like, hunky. And then the father and the grandfather come in and they try to kill him too, so he kills them. Cleaver style, defends himself against them. Mm-hmm. And then that's how he ends up becoming a convicted murderer, is that he stopped a girl from basically getting raped.
Yeah,
unfortunately, they put the girl into a pig cage and drown her to death for shaming the family.
Yeah.
But the point is that the reason he is in jail is because he was trying to act in a just and noble way.
Yeah, he was trying to protect someone who couldn't protect himself.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that kind of changes her opinion about him. Mm-hmm. He refuses to force himself on her, and so then he's out of the picture after the fight because he gets arrested and thrown into solitary, which leaves her open to attack. So one of Justin Timberlake's pilots.
His pilot. Another, I guess, Lance Bass.
Yeah.
Lance Bass shows up and
he tries to kill her.
Yeah.
And in the last minute, Rich Boyfriend shows up because he had set up the whole thing and saves her and stops it.
Yeah.
And so then Rich Boyfriend is now back in the story, and that's when she's like, wait, we could probably actually have some leverage if we contacted the media, because the media is even more powerful than the government, and we could potentially. And Rich Boyfriend's dad is a media conglomerate, although
he's like a Rupert Murdoch guy.
Yeah, although so you find out that Rich Boyfriend, when he takes his shirt off, is covered in tattoos, and I was like, is he like Triad? Is that the I do think they're
like
the father is
ganged up. Yeah.
The father, I think, is more than just a media mogul. He's
like a mafia guy.
I think he's a mafia guy. So I think that was the illusion, because he's like his whole body is covered in tattoos.
Yeah, he's like torso down.
But he's always wearing his long sleeves, so you can't tell.
His fancy drapey sleeves.
And she always is making jokes about his moisturizing.
Yeah,
right. So
he's got a good skincare regimen.
Good skincare regimen. Yeah. So then the next thing that kind of happens is they get forced into a battle, which early. They're supposed to have a 2-week break between battles.
Yes.
So they get into this thing early, and they force them in because they say they're going to tribute them because they're too much trouble. These two are, the Iron Demon and the Iron Widow, they're too much trouble. So we're just going to basically sacrifice them to calm down the
Some of the world building, it revolves around the fact that stability is really important, and the monsters that are attacking are aggravated by shows of power.
Right.
So like however much force you use to fight the monsters, they're gonna come back with an equivalent or greater amount of force. And if you meet that force but like really exceed it, they're going to come back with even more.
So they start
that
attacking more.
Yeah, so they start attacking
after they do that weird transformation, blobby transformation.
Yeah.
Then it fires up the twin winds.
Yeah.
Twin winds.
Yeah.
And they so then they come back 6 days after, and they're not ready to fight because their chi takes 2 weeks to recharge, but they throw them into battle anyway. So they're out in battle, and they're kind of getting their ass handed to them, and then rich boyfriend calls them over comms and is like, "Hey, come here." And they're at
I can like give you some of my
chi. So they run back over to this watchtower, and like he like fist bumps the.
It's like a little iron giant
bird. It's a giant bird they're flying.
Yeah, it's like an Iron Giant moment where it's like the tiny little hand touches the giant metal hand,
or like the David, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the thing it's supposed to.
Yeah. So, sorry,
not David, but the Sistine Chapel.
The Adam, where Adam's God is touching fingers with Adam. What is the name of that?
The Sistine Chapel.
Yeah. So but there's a name for the painting.
Oh sure, I don't know, man.
Anyway, the point is, it was kind of like that, and he like his chi like surges through, and she's like, "See triangles."
Yeah.
And they're like, "The three of us."
Exactly.
They keep hinting that that's coming. And then they go out, turn around, and kick some serious ass.
Yeah, go off. For real.
After that, they then go back to the main city because rich boyfriend's father, they have to go to like make a contract with him and get.
Yeah.
So then they kind of play this media game,
and they're doing a whole thing where they're like pretending to get married essentially for like publicity.
Yeah. And they show like they do like a racy photo shoot and stuff like that to make them all sex appeal and all that stuff.
Make them popular.
Make them popular.
Viewers, because the whole time this is like being broadcast and telecast, and then people like bet on the outcomes and shit like that. And all that.
Yeah. It's live streamed. It's like super popular.
Yeah, it's like FIFA.
Yep. Or like this. Yeah, super popular. With all
absolutely. All the viewers. Every one of them.
So they do that. They kind of detour on that. That's when you get into some more of the world building, and then at some point, like. She interacts with a couple of the bonded pilots. There's one that their bonded pilots drive a giant tortoise, and another one that drives a white tiger. Yeah. So she gets to know them. The white tiger one's kind of hostile, but then ultimately is kind of like
she's like, "Don't fuck my boyfriend."
But then she's ultimately kind of like because. She has like this conflict where she has to decide whether she wants to actually help her shitty family because her family is like really terrible to her.
The worst.
They're the worst. Their family is terrible. They sacrifice their daughters. The father is kind of a drunken asshole who beats the children and the wife and all that stuff. So they're like a picture of a terribly abusive family. Yeah. And so she has to decide she wants to help them. She decides, okay, maybe I should help them. And then like the tortoise lady is like, you should help them because you're only family.
You're only gonna have one.
You're only gonna have one. Yeah. And then the white tiger female pilot is like, what are you doing? Watch out for moochers. Yeah. She's like, ever since I became rich, every single distant relative calls me up and wants a handout, and they all gamble, and they're wasting the money and it's never ending. She says to be careful of that. So she ends up being kind of like, while not ally, she recognizes kind of like the main character recognizes herself that she's also got the feminine rage stuff going on.
Oh, absolutely. So you think White Tiger's shitty at first because she like comes at main character in the shower and like kind of kicks her ass a little bit.
Yep.
Because she saw like the hot photo shoot of main character in her boyfriend's head.
Yeah.
When they were fighting.
Because they're telepathically connected.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But then she's I love her. She's sick.
Yeah. So you get that, and so you get a little more world building, and at one point a conversation comes up and it's like, something's not right, because like lots of women, I obviously have a higher spirit pressure than
and they can kind of see it, right? Like an aura situation or something like that. Yeah.
So they're like women.
They're like, she's like clocking like, all of these women have better spirit pressures than their male partners. What's up with that?
Right.
And the canned explanation is like, they have more like spirit potential, but men are better at utilizing it.
Right.
So and that's the yin yang thing, right?
Right.
Nah, that's not what's going on.
So, but that's kind of the bullshit story that they're being fed. Yeah. The patriarchal story. And so so you have that situation, then they decide, well, you know what we could do, because now they're going to go on this big counteroffensive. So I have to back up a little bit here. So like 200 and some years ago, the emperor who piloted this really powerful dragon, he was considered the hands down the greatest pilot in history. But he got like, what was it, some pox or something?
He got flower pox. Yeah.
So he got flower pox, and like there's stories that he had to like put himself in like a frozen stasis with his water chi because he was really powerful, and he's just kind of waiting for a cure. And like, you know, they kind of mention that a few times throughout the book.
It feels like a fairy tale.
It feels like a fairy tale, right? So, but anyway, so you know, when he fell, this whole province fell to attack, because in the middle of the battle he was overcome, and then the Twin Winds took advantage because they were weak, and then took over this whole area where humans were living. And so now they're going to do this big counteroffensive, because now with Iron Demon and Iron Widow's combined spirit pressure, as well as a bunch of other bonded pilots, they now have the strength to retake the province. So that's like the big battle that's been kind of coming. You've been kind of hinting at until about 2/3 of the way through the book.
You're sort of like, that's right.
So they've got this thing, but Iron Widow is like, we should use this moment to get information. If we take the chief strategist, who's like the chief military advisor for all this,
huge asshole,
and like, by the way, all the strategists have never been in battle. Pilots rarely live to be more than 25 because of the toll it takes on them and the likelihood they'll be killed. And also it kind of feels like that they
get sacrificed.
They get sacrificed a lot to keep them from becoming too powerful. I think
like the
Emperor. Because before the pilots became emperors and rulers, and I think they were afraid of repeating that, so now they're pop stars.
Because like when the emperor went down, it also caused a lot of political calamity, because all of a sudden there's this huge power vacuum. In addition to losing your best fighter, you also lost the guy that was holding everything together.
So they never wanted to repeat that again.
And it seems like the whole thing is that they're sacrificing the coolest pilots before they get too popular. They want to use the popularity to like get views and make money and keep all the people entertained, but they want to rotate through people quick enough so that like the novelty doesn't wear off and the individual pilot pairs don't become too badass, I guess.
And basically get ideas.
Precisely.
But
sucks for them. Iron Widow's already got ideas. She came chock full of them.
So, and then the chief strategist, another important point to note that I kind of glossed or skipped over, is that he like forced an alcohol addiction. Like tortured him into drinking and gave him an alcohol addiction, so he would be willing to sacrifice girls without having another bonded match, because they kind of set it up so that his previous bonded partner died in battle. They were getting too powerful. So
his girlfriend who taught him drunken fighting, I forget what it's called, but I've just seen Legend of Drunken Master too many times. But who taught him that, like, she died and it like broke him. And like, so they got him addicted to booze, and like this whole time he's like drinking all the time. You know? And so but midway through it, they're like, he gonna die real soon. Like he's so strong, you guys can't lose him. He's gotta get off the booze. But then immediately Chief Strategist comes up and is like, yo, get drunk.
But he does finally quit. He finally quits, and they decide to interrogate and torture the chief strategist the night before the battle, because if they do it the night before the battle, the next morning super early, everyone's going to get up, there's going to be no time to react, they're going to have to go in battle, and then they can maybe use what he tells them as leverage. And what he tells them is that the pilot seats are rigged so that the women will always be less powerful than the men, so that it is always the men that absorb the women and not vice versa.
Absolutely, because otherwise it would be random.
Or you'd have to you probably, like, I was thinking about this.
Unless you have a bonded pair. Bonded pairs won't do it.
But unequal pairs. But I was also thinking you could actually, like, just strategically, because this is how my brain works, is like you could have probably set it up to basically program the pilot chairs. If you can do that, program them to always be a bonded match if you wanted to.
Wait, how would you do that?
Well, you would have to reconfigure the system so that you would suppress someone a certain amount based on their spirit pressure, and then you would
have like a little like a cap, like a pressure release.
You could have a pressure release valve of some kind.
That could just charge your weapon. You
right.
Just funnel that extra energy into like doing a killing move, a finishing move on your weapon. It just makes more sense. Oh my god!
And I kind of hope they do that in the second book.
That would be sick.
That they figured out how to reconfigure the pilot chairs to basically make a balanced match for anybody who needs it.
Yeah, slush off energy.
That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they basically have set it up so the women are always sacrificed, and the chief strategist is like, well, boys are more important. So duh. Why wouldn't we do this? And of course, like, you know, this is like super important information because for later in a moment. So they get out there into the battle and they're kind of kicking ass and they're fighting an Emperor class Twin, which is like this giant like spider thing.
Yeah, you forgot to mention that they fucking kill Chief Strategist.
Oh yeah, they kill Chief Strategist.
They ace his ass. They ace his ass. Like they record his whole confession. They convince him that his son is kidnapped. Then they're like, "Psych, we killed your son an hour ago." It's all faked. It's like
they don't actually kill him.
They don't do it. They don't kill any little kids. They deep fake that shit. But then, boom. Like, they just light his ass up. It's great.
And then they hide him in a closet.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're like, they'll find him later.
It's fine.
And then they plan to, as soon as they win the battle, they're going to transmit his confession across the empire, so that way everyone knows that this has been the problem, that women are not really less stronger, that they are valuable, and that, you know, we're losing all the potential of incredible pilots because we've set up this system.
Yeah, this bullshit system. Boy.
They get out into the field. They're fighting this big spider creature.
Their opponents are called strategists, after all.
Yeah. And then the tortoise, who you think is the friendly bonded match, turns on them and attacks the vermillion bird. Which is the name of their ship, which is, you know, can fly and stuff. And so they attack it and essentially cripple it. You know, strong boyfriend ejects her last minute.
Ejects her and rich boyfriend. Who has been like coming around with them in like a third seat.
Right.
Like there to like give them extra chi and balance everything out. Right. It's like sexy and like intimate.
And now they're all in love.
They're all in love. They're all
little triad.
Exactly. Now. The night before the battle, they do also hook up.
All three of them
together. It's great. And
after they kill the guy.
Yeah, after they kill the guy.
Sexy time.
I know, right? Well, when you do a justified political murder, sometimes you just come home really high, you know? It's nice to have a boyfriend there making dinner with you and a boyfriend who did the murder with you.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and the one boyfriend, the rich boyfriend, does all the skincare stuff for everyone, right?
Exactly. It's great. It's a good setup. But strong boyfriend ejects his
he ejects the other two.
Yeah.
And she also, and I forgot to mention this, she has like her armor when she finally got it back also has wings.
Yeah, so they have like a personal armor that they can wear basically
that transforms.
Like it can like depending on how powerful you are, it seems like it's kind of like unstable molecules from like the Fantastic Four. Like you can just take shape whatever shape you want it to. Right. All you have to do is really think about it. And so she can like when she's in that armor, that like person-sized armor, she could just like walk around and shit. She was like learning ice dancing with Strong Boyfriend, so that they could like have a stronger connection. Yeah, she doesn't need a wheelchair. It's great. So she's got that once she's ejected from the mech.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's like, there's one chance. I know. They by the way, they happen to have given them all these. They're not cures, but they're treatments for the flower pox because they were worried going into this area because flower pox was rampant there. So they gave him a couple of vials for this. Yeah. So she has this vial and she's like, we can find the Emperor, and runs into like this nomad person who leads her to the Emperor, finds him, wakes him up, injects him with the flower pox stuff. This was very like where she like melts the ice. I was like, that's very Avatar: The Last Airbender.
There's a lot of Avatar.
There's definitely Avatar.
Because guess what? The Emperor can control all the different
all
sheets.
5 elements. Right? So she finds out pretty quick, and she's like, "All right, we got to go kick some ass. It's the middle of the battle. You've been asleep for 200 years." He's like, "Wait, what?"
What?
And he's like, "But you won't survive 2 minutes with me because my spirit pressure is so high." And she's like, "I got an idea. Let's switch seats."
Yo,
so
get in the girl seat.
Get in the girl seat. He says, "I won't get in the girl seat, damn you."
And she's like,
I got the you. It's like this cure was only temporary. We got to keep injecting you, which is like true.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to keep injecting you with treatments to keep you alive. And he's like, "Well, damn, okay." So they switch seats, and then she just like pilots this giant ash dragon and just
super sick golden dragon
kicks ass, takes names, and then like
murks the fucking turtle bitch that killed her boyfriend.
Yeah, just smushes her.
Yeah, it's so great. And she's like, "You would have done the same thing. They had my family." And she's like,
yeah,
steps on her.
Right.
And then her family's pleading like, "Hey, stop your rampage." And she's like,
and she flies to the capital and like has a choice of like whether she could save her family. The strategist purposely brought her family into the thing.
Yeah, they were using Turtle Girl.
They're using Turtle Girl to basically set it up so she had a weakness or leverage over her, and she's like, "You know what? I don't care," and just squishes
because
everyone.
she thinks about the fact that this is the family that bound her feet, that sacrificed her and her sister for money, even after her sister got murdered. So like, as far as they knew, was disappeared. They're like, "Yeah, but you should also do it. Yeah. You know, it's fine."
And
like, they're doing it so they can send her brother to college.
Right.
They're selling their daughters for their son's future, and she's like, "No," and just steps on him. It's so great.
And it was also like, they're just going to be hostages the rest of their life anyway.
Yeah,
what kind of life is that?
That's
so she just does it, and she's like, "Guess who's emperor now?"
Yeah.
And then
the emperor and the others, he's like, "Oh, this was your plan? Cool."
Yeah, he's like, "Okay, you can conquer the world. We'll do it."
Yeah, I'll help you out. I love
conquering stuff. So I mean, and he does mention he might be a problem later, which I'm.
Oh yeah, she's astute, but it's a funny scene.
But it's funny. He's like, "Oh, you want to conquer the world? Cool.
I see.
I'm in. Yeah. And then of course at the last minute, rich boyfriend shows up and is like, yeah. So rich boyfriend who was like or strong boyfriend who is left for dead is now like the mech is gone. Like,
but before that, I think you're compressing two scenes actually. In the moment when she's got Emperor with her, she's also got Rich Boyfriend with her, and his dad shows up.
Oh,
and
his dad.
I got leverage on you. You remember that sex tape I made you do? Yeah, I'm gonna show it to everybody now that you think you're gonna be Emperor. And Rich Boyfriend like doesn't get all the story, you know, but she's like, "I can't tell you. I can tell you later." And he's like, "Don't even worry about it. Open the door." He just flies down to his dad, zaps his ass with his chi, and is like, "I got you, boo." And like comes out. It's great. Yeah, it's a great moment. He's like, "But I know my dad's a scumbag. I know he's Rupert fucking Murdoch.
So
I'm just gonna kill him." Guess what? All of my dad's employees, you're now my employees. You work for the Iron Widow now.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But then, so I just skipped over that part.
Yeah.
Which is an important part.
It's an important part.
Sometimes I get excited.
Yeah.
But then the final bit of news is these gods that we've been making sacrifices to, like I don't know anything about them, have taken the vermilion bird and taken strong boyfriend, and they send images down. They said, "Comply or he dies." And it turns out that the gods in the sky are in fact humans.
Yeah.
And this is a colonial invasion situation where this isn't Earth.
No.
They are the invaders, not the Twin Twins. So...
Because the Twin Twins have been calling the humans like like a disease or something like that the whole time.
Yeah. Well, they said the humans are the scourge of the universe.
They're a scourge, yes.
The scourge of the universe. And she's like, "I don't understand why they keep saying that." And, you know, but it turns out that humans are invaders and they've taken over this land. And there's this moment... when they're trying to retake the province, and you pointed it out right before we got on, was that like there's all these trees and all this life around, and like the Dwindwins, they walk around it, whereas their mechs are just like mowing over these ancient trees, and she's like, "What is? They must be really careful to like walk around. Why would they do that?
Yeah, why do
sort
they
of
care
thing?"
so much?
Right. So
Yeah.
and it turns out this is because it's their homeland.
Yeah.
They're the indigenous life of this land,
Mhm.
and so they're basically. And I think this is just my prediction for the next book. I think what is happening is they're down there to harvest this particular kind of spirit metal that when they kill one of these creatures, they transform into one of the chrysalises to make the mechs.
Yeah, they're basically, the mechs are made out of the skin of the Dwindwins.
That's right. If there's enough left intact, they can hollow them out and turn them into these chrysalists.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's happening is that a lot of that material is going back up into space, and this is basically a colonial mining mission.
It's an extraction, yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what's
the fucking East
here.
India Company.
Yeah, it's the East India Company for sure. So that was kind of the impression I got at the end of the book. Definitely gonna read. I don't know if there's gonna be a third one or not. It looks like it's a duology, but I'm not sure.
You know what? So Kira got me on this book called Ocean Scotery, which is it's like a Cowboy Bebop style situation.
Okay.
You know? It's a good book. And I was jamming on it so hard, and it ended abruptly in the middle, a lot like this book. But I'm glad I read it before I read this one, because I was like, I don't know if I want to read the second one until the third one's out, because I'm not trying to get like cliffhangered again on Ocean's Scotery Part 2, Teo's Doomery. And she's like, no, it's 2 books. It's just 2 books. She read the second one. She's like, fucking great. Also, read it. Super good.
Yeah.
And I really hope this one is too, because I feel like this is an amazing halfway point.
Yeah. This is a really
in this story.
Point.
You know, this is like the first book's her ascendancy. The second book, who knows, right?
Yeah. Well, it's called Heavenly Tyrant. So either.
Well, yeah. We kind of know. I mean, she's gonna have an empire, but like, is it gonna be like, what's gonna happen with that?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's not a Dune style thing, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to read 12 of these books. Although she is rad as fuck. So.
I read all the Dune books, but
well, I know a lot of people have. I'm just Dune boring. That's my take. But yeah, no. What an amazing book. I feel like it really pairs great
with Black Empire. We were talking about that. This is if Dr. Belcidus was the main
protagonist.
Character, the main character.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that unrelenting kind of rage against the oppressive system. In this case, it's the patriarchy. In the case before, it was the white man.
Yeah.
I mean, Belcidus is kind of patriarchal in his own way, for sure.
Yeah, no, he is. That's true.
Yeah, but so this is kind of like, it pairs kind of well with our last book, which was not on purpose. Sometimes we do that.
That just happens.
It just happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
The kind of the way that V for Vendetta pairs well with 1984.
Well, that was intentional.
That was a little more intentional.
Because when I was reading 1984, I was like, I'm getting strong V for Vendetta's Britain vibes with this, and this one was totally accidental. But I think it's really fun because we were off-put by the back half of Black Empire by how ruthless Belcidus was being, because we're looking at through the point of view of a sycophant. But in this case, we've taken the ride with Iron Widow.
Right.
And we're like, yeah, step on your fucking family, because they sucked. Burn that dude on that bridge, because he made your boyfriend an alcoholic to basically to enslave him. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, this is a. I mean, I think it's when you're in the character's head, and I mean, and the author, they are so good at constantly reminding you of the bounds, like the the metaphorical and the physical bounds that this character is under all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your feet are literally bound, which makes you unable to move around the world properly, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely.
You have a situation, where women are just considered throwaways, and that is a lot of patriarchal societies where women are not considered valuable, that men are considered the most important.
I think that's a really interesting point, dude. I think that if she hadn't been a victim of feet binding, so whenever she's interacting with other female pilots, they don't have bound feet.
Some of them do, but most don't.
the main character ones that she interacts with.
The other balanced
Black Turtle and
the tiger, neither of them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was thinking about, because they're like the other female main characters in this book, and they have this agency and power that she doesn't have, even when she's out of the mech. But when she's in the mech, she's more powerful than they are. It really, like, it makes the dichotomy of experience so stark that you can see how empowered, how liberated she is by being with a balance partner, because she doesn't really get the balance partner thing until the very end. Like, she and strong boyfriend are kind of like
hate each other for about
they hate each other. Well,
yeah.
She thinks that. This is the interesting thing about her too, is that she thinks everybody's oppositional to her, but he's down with her like the whole fucking time, and she finds that out through a memory experience situation at the very end, in their like last battle. But like they're at odds with each other, mostly because she's so angry, and the anger is justified, but he is getting in the way of her seeing clearly.
Yeah.
And she's also experienced so much oppression from the men in her family specifically that she can't see him as anything but like a threat that's trying to use her. Because in that moment where they're talking and he tells her that like the reason he was in prison is the reason he killed his family is because they were doing a gang rape. She's like down with him for a second, and then she reacts to that, like opening up to him, and just starts yelling at him, like, what's your angle and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. She doesn't believe him.
She doesn't believe him. And the other thing is she doesn't believe Rich Boyfriend either, even though he gave her all these tools that she's using throughout the thing, like strategy and literacy and all of it. She's able to function when she gets into the situation in the Capitol. Like, she's able to outthink most of the people she interacts with because of him. She still suspects him of being a bad dude the whole time.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, well, okay, he just murder his family on television. His father, I should say, on television. But, like, you know, his father sucked. And they're taking over the world anyway. So, like, whatever. But I guess, I mean, if you want to think about it, like, anybody who's down to take over the world is probably not a great person.
Well, and I think...
But he's an ally of hers, is what I'm trying to say.
I think Strong Boyfriend is kind of a great example of how patriarchy is shitty for men, too. Like,
absolutely.
Look, it absolutely is worse for women, but it is not great for men to like not be able to express your emotions, to like when
your sexuality. They both mention it to her.
Yeah,
that the world would not approve of them being attracted to men as well.
That's right. So being bisexual, like bi erasure, like the fact that like men can't touch each other, like I mean, or comfort each other.
Yeah,
all kinds of things. Right.
But they do that with each other because they clock each other as queer, you know, but like there's a moment when like Strong Boyfriend's having a bad time and Rich Boyfriend comes over and just like touches him on his arm and soothes him like immediately. And main character's like, oh, I could never do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that kind of intimacy with him. And then she's like, are they into each other? Because I'm into that. But yeah. Like her anger gets in her way the whole time, and I forget where I was going with that. But
but I wanted to mention, I had to look up the title really quick. I was thinking a lot of the Bell Hooks book, The Will to Change, which is about, that book is specifically, it doesn't pull punches about what the patriarchy does to women in that book, but Bell Hooks is really excellent in this book about talking about what specifically patriarchy does to men that reinforce the system. And actually, and she mentions this in the book, you know, and this is something that you see, you know, when you're studying other cultures a lot in anthropology, is that in these oppressive systems, it's not always the men who are upholding the patriarchy.
That's absolutely
Women
true.
are upholding that patriarchy too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, so she mentions the foot binding, and she, at the end, she even says this, it's not my dad who did the foot binding, it's my mom and my grandma.
My grandma did that.
And so it's like the patriarchy persists because women are complicit in it too.
Yeah.
And it's not, they're so trained to think that this is the right way to approach, that they're supposed to be subservient and docile and all this stuff. And so you kind of create this myth structure that perpetuates it on both, because it requires both sides. If all the women of the world collectively stood up and said no more patriarchy, you couldn't continue to maintain the patriarchy.
Absolutely not. One, there are more of them, and two, like, they're more efficient than us. So, like, they would get that shit done.
Yeah.
If they stood up and said, I'm emperor now, they could probably make it happen if they were efficient enough. You know?
Yeah.
And they had enough girls on their side, man. That's all it is.
Like, and I think one key piece of this book, and this is something like, I mean, I literally just read a poem at the Capitol when it was like 2 months ago, because we had like a little event at the Capitol where we were kind of like protesting and releasing a poetry anthology. But it was like the poem was called Thieves of Potential. It was largely about like, you know, how these systems rob us of potential. And this is a constant theme that the author uses. They time and again say, do you not realize the potential you're losing by not allowing these women to be them full selves? Like,
yeah, man.
And it's like when we oppress people, in whatever form that is, whether that's race, whether that's class, whether that's gender, whatever form, what you're doing is stymieing people's potential for like doing incredible things.
I love that she reiterates that theme over and over again. I love that there's also an answer to it.
Yeah.
Do you not realize you're losing potential? They do realize it. They're doing it intentionally, and they're doing it so they can maintain this extractive operation they've got going on. It's actually part of the plan to have women help an oppression of other women, because if you can keep 50% of the population kind of like oppressing the other 50%, then you can manipulate the whole population into doing your mining thing against these giant monsters on this far-flung planet.
Yep. And it's again, it's like, I've mentioned this before, but it's like Foucault.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the social theory that the best way to get a society docile is to convince them to police themselves.
Absolutely.
So if you can convince all the women of your population that to do this thing that literally cripples you, then you win. You don't. Then there's so much less resistance. And so, you know, because power is addictive. It is always, you will never, you're essentially, and I like that she brought up the hungry ghost. I love that concept, the Eastern concept of the hungry ghost.
Dude, have you read Hungry Ghost? Have you read Anthony Bourdain's Hungry Ghost?
I haven't.
I'll send you home with it.
Okay,
really
cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry.
But the hungry ghost, if you don't know, is this kind of, in Buddhism and Hinduism, you can be reborn into a hell realm if you kind of like were super greedy or super like...
If you're a rich boyfriend's dad.
If you're rich boyfriend's dad, basically.
Yeah.
Like the hungry ghost is this creature with a giant belly and a pinhole-sized mouth. So no matter what it does, it will never be satisfied. And that is power. When you're chasing power, and you see this in our current politics, right? All of these guys, all these ones who are like climbing up on top with Trump and all others, they are just so lustful for power that no matter how much they get, it will never be enough. Because really what they are trying to do is they're so deeply, deeply insecure people that they have to keep terrorizing everyone around them. And that's a lot. I mean, patriarchy is about the insecurity of men thinking that, like, in fact, it's like it's that women are superior. They're afraid of that.
Dude, I think that the media organization, like the media system or environment or whatever it is we have right now, and the political system, I think they're hungry ghosts. I think that's why, like, politicians...
Rage porn, man. Rage porn.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why politicians can say whatever they want, and the media will never, like, actually interrogate it or question it. They'll just reiterate it. And if you're asking, like, why aren't you, like, pushing back on this weird bullshit about, like, I don't know, Tylenol causing autism or whatever, the media will be like, well, we're trying to give both sides equal play, but that's just an excuse, obviously. So they can say whatever the wild shit they want and be also like, Democrats disagree. You know, like, they can give as much airtime to crazy, you know, like poisoned by, like, greed and hate, you know, fascists. They give them as much airtime as they want, and as long as people are enraged by it, like any rational person would be and watches it and engages with it, they get money. So like, why would they fix the system? They profit off the system so much.
Well, dude, it's like that old episode of Futurama, like first season Futurama. They go to the robot planet, and they're all like, the humans are evil monsters, and they're going to eat you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then they're like...
Night of the Humans is what that's called, I think.
Yeah, or something, or like Fear of a Bot Planet, I think.
That's it! So. No! You're right, you're right.
So it's like Fear of a Bot Planet, so they go there, the humans are like these terrible fire-breathing monsters, and like...
They go to see human movies.
They go to see human movies, like where the humans are monsters.
From like a 50s like monster movie.
Right. Great. So it's great, and then he's like, wait, if you let them know humans are really kind of like weak and squishy, then they'll find out about our crippling lug nut shortage. You know, it's like,
exactly.
Right. It's all of this stuff, like the blame game that we play, like women are doing this or men are doing this. That is just the divide and conquer technique.
Absolutely.
Because like in the end, and this is like in that Bell Hooks book, and I just cannot recommend that book enough. The Will to Change, it's called, and it really just highlights on like the only way we're going to get through this is like for men and women to realize that patriarchy sucks for everybody.
Absolutely.
And we have to work together and like see the ways that, because like, look, being a man, you're told that you have to be certain ways, that you have to do certain things to show your manliness, and that is oppression right there.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to live up to this stupid bullshit script.
And I gotta say, like, I think men are the worst. But I don't think it's natural or inherent. No. I think we're trained to be
the worst.
We're infantilized our whole lives. Like, boys will be boys rhetoric, like, just allows men to be lazy and, like, violent and misogynistic and shit like that. And if anybody's like, hey, man, why are you, like, hitting on that underage girl? People are like, boys will be boys. But no, like, you're just being a bad person. You're trained to be a bad and weak person who can't like fix a meal for themselves or like their own clothes or something like that. You know?
You're trained to be an insecure mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you're trained to be in this culture.
Why do they have women's tasks and men's tasks? Because, like, if you separate men and women and put them in different boxes, they'll always be kind of oppositional to each other. And they'll always, like, not really understand where the other one is coming from because they have different experiences.
Yeah.
But if you just do your own laundry and, like, make food for yourself, you're still a man. You still have a penis. You can probably still fuck. You know, you're going to be fine. Yeah. But you're also going to be able to take care of yourself. And that's pretty good, you know? You're not going to feel, like, weird when your wife has to do things for you and shit. It's whack.
It's really weird because like I mean, a lot of us grew up embodying a lot of those ideals.
Oh, hell yeah, I did, for sure. That's why I hate men so much. It's self-hating behavior, man.
Yeah. No, and then you just like, when you fall into this patriarchy nonsense, you feel so weird about it, and you don't know why you feel weird about it, and then you get angry because you feel weird about it.
Oh, that's
you're not supposed to feel weird about it. So then you're just like this bottled up shitty thing of rage.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is Iron Demon, man.
Absolutely.
His entire story arc is this. He's doing he's doing the right things, but every single time he's punished for it severely. He's trying to be a good person, but there's no clear pathway because there's no model for us. Mm-hmm. And we do have some models out in the world, like fucking Fred Rogers or, Bob Ross or various other ones. Or so we have some. Or
Hold on, we need a third good dude.
Keanu Reeves, maybe? I think, I don't know.
But Keanu Reeves and Something's Gotta Give. There you go. That's a third one.
There you go.
He and Diane Keaton dated after that movie because Diane Keaton's a silver fox and she could pull a hottie like that.
Yeah.
Good for her. Anyway,
but there's a lot of really good, great role models in there, but they're ignored for like the fucking action flick or whatever. And,
sure.
But the point is like, I feel like the author did a really good job of showing the complexity and nuance that the male characters face in patriarchy, specifically Iron Demon, and like the kind of shit he had to wrestle with too, at the same time showing all the crazy shit that she had to wrestle with, like being a female in the patriarchy. And so you get kind of this mix. And you don't see it as clearly with Rich Boyfriend.
I was just going to push back on that.
Actually,
I think you're underserving Rich Boyfriend. I mean, I think like strong boyfriend is all those things you said, but I also think rich boyfriend is another great example of someone being in touch with like other parts of their masculinity, because he was, even though like class systems and ethnic systems would have told him that he shouldn't talk to this girl with the unibrow,
he did anyway,
and the bound feet, he did anyway because he liked her, and he's like, I don't fucking care, and he was always willing to throw away his wealth,
and he was authentic,
about it, and he's like, the only time he did he did one manipulative thing in the book, and he apologized for it later, which was going to her family and offering to marry her,
so she'd never become a concubine.
So she wouldn't have to become a concubine.
Right, but she wanted to become a concubine.
Oh, absolutely, that was her plan, and he was trying to override it.
And then,
but then later on, he apologizes.
He does, because he's like, wait, I didn't understand what you were trying to do. I just wanted to help you the best I could.
But I was doing the boy thing of like deciding what the right thing for you was,
right,
and then trying to do it
rather than allowing agency. And there is one point when rich boyfriend says, you have to remember, because he's talking to both of them, and he's like, you have to remember that you were tools to them.
Yes,
you didn't have agency.
Absolutely.
They stripped all your agency.
He narcs.
I will say.
Yeah, he narcs on the powers that be, all that he belongs to all the fucking time. It's great.
Yeah.
It's what enables them to succeed in the end.
Right.
You know,
and you know the other
I hope
thing
they
is
can get strong boyfriend back.
And the other thing is, I think, I hope so too. I think they're both examples of like, one has gone through incredible trauma, through the patriarchy as a man, and the other has not really gone through incredible trauma, but he still figured it out. So it's like, you don't have to go through incredible
That's exactly
trauma.
what I'm talking about. He's doing the ally thing.
Yeah.
Where he's like basically being a class traitor, and every time I say class traitor on this podcast, I want people to know I'm saying it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing the class system. Yeah, fuck the class system. It oppresses all of us. But he's doing the thing where from the most comfortable position that he could possibly be in, he's like, I don't fucking care about this. I know my dad's a scumbag. I know he's like doing bad shit. At first he just wants to run away from it. His path is to realize that he needs to burn that shit down.
Yeah.
You know, and then he does.
And you know, the other thing I really like about this book is that all three of the main characters have different skill sets.
Absolutely.
And all of their skill sets are what make them powerful together, to show that it's not just like a diversity of background, but it's also just a diversity of like intellectual ability
and perspective
and like all of those things are what make the character successful, and the willingness to kind of sacrifice for the others and not be hyper individualistic. And I think going into it originally, both Iron Demon and Iron Widow are pretty individualistic.
Absolutely.
But as they grow through the thing, they realize, shit, being individualistic doesn't actually solve the problems we want to solve. We got to do this shit together.
I also really like that. I think in another, like, maybe less well written or like less well conceived book, like, strong boyfriend would have been the really stubborn one. But like, I think this book does a great job of showing like various types of masculinity, but giving a type of masculinity to the female or maybe non-binary protagonist, because she is stubborn throughout and she thinks that her own perspective is like the correct one throughout, or maybe there. But like, you know, because I definitely pictured strong boyfriend as kind of like a young Vin Diesel type, you know? He's like big and like kind of like taciturn, you know, but like sensitive.
Riddick. He's Riddick.
He's fucking Riddick. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. But the thing about Riddick is that he's also pretty astute, you know? And strong boyfriend is too. But I think you might have been able to like, he could have easily have been the angry character because of what he experienced, but he is fundamentally the second angriest character throughout the book.
Yeah.
And main character is very angry and very justifiably so. But the violence that she's experienced has been a lot more like structural and less visceral, except obviously for the foot binding experience and maybe the occasional beatings for her father. Actually, okay, maybe on par.
It's a mix.
Yeah, maybe on par with strong boyfriends, but she's more angry about everything.
Yeah,
and I think part of that is because he did experience like a traumatic romantic loss previous to this, but he also had like a romantic and intimate connection with his previous partner,
Right?
and so he's like maybe more open to that than main character is. She's resistant throughout. She wants to kill him for like 40% of the book.
Yeah, she's like, it's just a matter of time till I kill her.
Until I kill this dude like I did the last one.
And that's one of the other things too, and this is sometimes a controversial thing to say, especially in like leftist groups or oppressed groups or whatever. But like anger at some point is a failure. There's some point when anger blinds you.
Yeah.
To
that's what I was getting at earlier.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
There's a point where anger is no longer useful and it becomes a mistake. And it's actually really, I think, what the character ultimately realizes is that just blind rage is blind rage.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that if you're going to use that anger, it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
You have to, I mean, because you don't know where you're going to fly off the handle and make the mistake or take things too far.
Yeah.
And you also, like, ultimately, if you want to get to the right place, you have to kind of balance this idea of vengeance versus justice. And that is a tough place.
That's going to be, I think that's what the second book is going to be exploring.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to start wrapping it up. I think the main takeaway as far as like a resistance movement from this book is that you do have to use your anger to fuel your actions, because that's what they do. That is how they get to the bottom of the fucking mystery with the planet. That's how they overthrow the super shitty government that is sacrificing girls as a policy. They come up with a plan, they act on it, and in a moment where they're facing defeat, they improvise another plan and make it happen through strategic thinking and luck. I think it's fairly actionable. I do think we might have to be getting more specific in the actions that we choose to take against the super shitty government that we are oppressed by.
Well, and it's all strategic, right?
Yeah.
And it's why, like, some people are like, well, I vote a certain way and it's voting on principle. It's like, okay, but voting on principle isn't strategic.
Your principles are a fucking luxury, motherfucker.
It's a luxury. You have to be strategic. You have to think about how is this particular bill going to impact the greater population? Is this politician literally going to be much worse than the other? Even though sometimes it really sucks to pick between two shitty candidates.
Yeah.
It's about strategy. It's everything about power is a chess game. That is why chess has been such an enduring thing, and that I forget what exactly the name of the origin game is, but it's from India. It's not actually from Europe.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I just can't remember what it used to be called.
Yeah, Europeans stole that shit too. Sure.
Yeah, because of colonialism.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the point of chess is to like capture the king, not to kill the king.
That's true.
It's supposed to be strategic. You're supposed to capture the system of power.
They can't move because all their options are death, but they're not dying.
Right.
That's great.
And also the king has very little power. Like the king is the person who is at the highest level of power is actually trapped. I actually think Trump hates being president.
I do too.
I think he hates
That's why he was phoning that campaign in. He was on trial. By the way, if I haven't said this on the podcast yet, the real people to blame for Trump being in power are the Democratic politicians in the Biden administration that did not prosecute
him fast enough.
Donald Trump in the first year. There's no good reason. People will be like, we didn't want to be vengeful. Why the fuck not, man?
But you also can't ignore that, like, Mitch McConnell could have actually ended it right after January 6th and started the prosecution immediately. Like
that's what I'm saying.
The Senate, but it was like there was an element of the Republican Party that definitely were a part of the problem. So.
Well, the Republican Party is the problem. I don't think they're part of the problem. Well, I'm saying the Democratic fucking
yes,
Merrick Garland dropped the fucking ball intentionally.
He did. Yeah.
He did intentional grounding.
Yeah.
And that fucked everything up. And fucked that guy forever. But what was I going to say? Damn, I lost my train of thought. Oh well. I'm glad I said that.
Well, we were
no.
Yeah, anyway, we were concluding on how power is a trap and
power is a trap. I do think Donald Trump was phoning that in. He seemed very lackadaisical and lackluster on the campaign trail, and he was always going to his own trial and just having press conferences in a little like kiddie pen made out of like security gates and shit like that. It was really pathetic, and it didn't seem like he was trying until Elon Musk like shot $250 million or whatever into his campaign.
Yeah.
And bought that shit for him.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you sometimes overthrowing a government is the right way to go.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think this book is a good demonstration of how you can do that if you are in a unique position
and have a giant, powerful dragon mech.
Yeah, just get a fucking golden dragon mech and fly it up to the White House and be like, "Y'all, this is my country now. Say something."
Yeah.
It's a good route
for sure.
Less actionable, I suppose, than Black Empire.
Less actionable, yes. But yeah, and again, just emphasizing everyone has different skill sets. I think this, everyone has just access to different kinds of resources, whether they're spiritual, mental, emotional, physical resources.
Financial resources?
Well, that's the physical I was thinking of.
Okay, cool.
But I guess physical could be like brute strength. Whatever resources you have, that's how you kind of push back and resist. Definitely check Iron Widow out. It was a hell of a fun read.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of world building in the beginning, but
push through it. You know what? I didn't even mind it after I got through it.
No. It didn't bother me at all, but I'm also used to reading like classic sci-fi, which has long exposition dumps.
Sure.
Like I like Dune.
Yeah. So,
and Dune is like 60% exposition.
It's for people who like Dune and for people who didn't like Dune.
That's right. So we are, we mentioned last time, we're going to be doing the original edition of Frankenstein for Halloween.
1818 edition.
1818. We're going to be doing that on the 27th of this month.
You guys will be seeing it in stores. This last 3 weeks, I've seen it in so many shops because of Halloween, I'm sure. But it's a new version of Frankenstein. Well, not new. It's the oldest. It's the oldest version of Frankenstein, but it's it was a previously fairly inaccessible edition, so I think people are like, yeah, I can sell two,
Yeah.
One for people who've already read it and liked the book, and one for people who haven't seen the book, So yeah, you can get it super easy. Support your local bookshop. Buy a nice Penguin copy. It's gonna have some good essays in it as well as the book, and I'm fucking hyped. I love Frankenstein. That book slaps, so I'm excited for a even more feministic version of it.
Yeah. I've read it twice myself, but it's been a couple years. Right. So I'm really excited to dive into it, and also just great Halloween themes. That's our Halloween episode.
Absolutely.
We also have another book picked out. We're trying to give you guys a couple in advance, so if some of you want to read ahead or whatever, and come give comments or come interact or just whatever. Treat it like a book club or not, whatever. The next one we will be doing is by R.F. I think Kung is her name.
Okay.
I think. But it's Babel, or the Necessity of Violence, an Arcane History of Oxford Translators' Revolution. So it is a novel about, it's like an alternative history with British colonialism and magic, and it also is about how academia can be complicit in some of that stuff. Which
propping up system of power, academia? Are you sure? Wow. Okay. I don't know. I'm excited to learn about this.
Only spent 11 years there. I wouldn't have anything to say.
I don't know. Let's see.
So that's our next two books. We don't have a date for the second one. It'll come up soon, but we do have October 27th will be Frankenstein. Locked down. So join us next time.
Absolutely.
All right. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Wait. There. Okay. Now it has ended.
Yeah. All right. Pretty good.
Both of us do this. The last few minutes we tend to